Imagine you have this massive, I mean literally a massive stainless steel vat of liquid just sitting right in front of you.
Right, like a massive bioreactor.
Exactly. And inside that vat is roughly $5 million worth of product. It is quite literally the most heavily monitored, heavily regulated fluid on the planet.
Absolutely. The stakes are incredibly high.
But here's the crazy part. If a microscopic bacterial contaminant, like just a tiny trace, enters that vat at, say, 9 in the morning, the absolute smartest scientists in the entire building won't know a single thing about it until 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, the delay is just brutal.
And by the time those lab results actually come back, that $5 million is completely gone. It's just literally vaporized. So today we're doing a deep dive, and we're skipping all that sanitized corporate PR fluff.
We have to. The internet is honestly just starved for reality right now.
So true. Everyone is drowning in these buzzwords about AI and healthcare. But today our mission is to look at the unvarnished truth about this massive, hidden financial bleed in modern enterprise. We're calling it the trillion-dollar blind spot.
I love that title. And that $5 million loss you just mentioned, that's exactly where we need to start. Because today, we are stripping away the noise. We're looking purely at the physics and the financial math of this problem.
Right, we're cutting through the illusions.
Exactly. We're going to operate like a quiet architect today. We're using this very strict minimalist design logic specifically inspired by Dieter Rams.
Oh, the industrial designer. Less, but better.
Yes. Weniger, aber besser.
Yeah.
We're using his philosophy to dissect a wildly complex biotech problem. We're going to reveal how edgeai is solving this bottleneck with absolute ruthless efficiency.
I really like that framing. Less, but better. It's funny, my mother actually tells her friends that we just sit around talking about installing security cameras at the medicine factory.
I mean, she's not entirely wrong.
Right. She's really not. But to contrast that sort of grounded parental humor, we're dealing with a wildly intense, high-stakes reality here. We're talking about multi-million-dollar bioreactors. We're talking about catastrophic batch failures.
The contrast your mom points out is actually perfect, though, because the general public, they view biopharma as this pristine, flawless science.
Like perfectly clean white coats and glowing test tubes.
Exactly. Executed in perfect harmony. But the reality down on the actual manufacturing floor, it is a brutal, ongoing physical battle against fluid dynamics and time.
So before we look at the microscopic level of the medicine itself, we should probably zoom out, right? We need to understand this macroscopic illusion of corporate efficiency first.
We do, because if you want to understand the physical bottleneck, you first have to understand the corporate blind spot that allows it to exist.
And there's a profound shift happening right now. If you look at professional networks, I'm talking about places like LinkedIn, X, Threads, you see this massive vibe shift.
Oh, people are just done with the PR speak.
Literally done. Professionals are actively abandoning these polished, sanitized press releases. They are sharing raw, totally unvarnished accounts of systemic failures. They're posting about severe operational gridlocks.
And those raw narratives are surfacing because the dissonance has just become too loud to ignore.
It's deafening.
Right. There is this massive structural disconnect between the clean, perfectly formatted executive dashboard and the chaotic ground-level execution.
It's like two different realities. You have executives sitting up in boardrooms looking at highly aggregated, perfectly green metrics on a screen.
Meanwhile, down on the clean room floor, the frontline operators are basically fighting daily physical fires just to keep the production lines moving.
And when you read these accounts online, you realize these aren't just minor hiccups. These aren't just, somebody spilled a beaker kind of bad days at the office.
No, these are deep structural design flaws.
Right. They're embedded in organizational psychology, they're embedded in legacy technology, and they're embedded in the actual physics of the supply chain.
Which is why biotech and edgeai represent such a hidden gold mine right now.
It's massive. But here is my question. If an executive is staring at a profit and loss statement and they literally see a line item that says batch failure, unforeseen, and they are writing off $5 million, why are they so blind to the actual cause?
Because of how the data is categorized.
What do you mean? Like they view it as a technical issue?
Exactly. They see it as a random technical anomaly. They do not see it as a named structural financial bottleneck that is actively draining billions of dollars from the industry.
So is it just geographical silos, like the boardrooms in New York and the factories in New Jersey? Or is it willful ignorance?
It's very rarely willful ignorance. The executives aren't stupid. It's actually an illusion created by what we can call strategic hindsight.
Strategic hindsight. Okay, break that down for me.
So, when a multi-million-dollar biopharma batch fails, the postmortem analysis usually treats the failure as an unavoidable act of nature, like a lightning strike.
Ah, like, oh, well, the biology just didn't cooperate today.
Right, because the executive suite is completely separated from the clean room floor by layers and layers of middle management and delayed reporting structures.
So they see the final financial crater, but they are entirely blind to the physical meteor that actually caused it?
That's a great way to put it. Complex systems often hide these simple, massive leaks. And to find the leak, we have to leave the boardroom and go directly onto the clean room floor.
Okay, let's do it. Put on the hazmat suit. We are walking into the facility. If I'm standing next to one of these massive bioreactors right now, what am I actually looking at?
Well, you're looking at a genuine marvel of fluid dynamics. I mean, the modern biomanufacturing plant is incredible.
But it's crippled, right, by a completely analog bottleneck.
Completely crippled, and that bottleneck is scheduled manual sampling.
Manual sampling. Okay, explain exactly what that looks like, because this is where the pristine image of science basically collides with harsh industrial reality, right?
Exactly. So these facilities manage bioreactors that hold highly complex mammalian cell cultures.
Like what kind of cultures?
Things like Chinese hamster ovary cells, which are used to grow monoclonal antibodies. These are incredibly deeply sensitive biological processes.
Right, we're essentially farming living cells to make medicine.
Yes. And to ensure that the product is actually safe and chemically viable, sterility and chemical balance must be verified constantly.
Constantly. But the primary method for doing this relies entirely on human intervention and delayed lab assays.
Yes. So walk through the physical mechanics of it with me. A frontline scientist realizes, okay, it's time for the scheduled check.
Right, it's 9:00 a.m., time to check the vat.
So they have to physically approach this massive stainless steel bioreactor. They use a highly specialized sterile port to extract a physical liquid sample of that cell culture.
Like into a literal glass or plastic vial.
A literal vial. Then they have to safely manually transport that physical vial across the sprawling facility to a dedicated quality control laboratory.
Okay, so they're walking down the hallway with $5 million of potential liability in their hand.
Pretty much. Once they get to the lab, they run that sample through incredibly precise chromatography machines and mass spectrometers.
Just to check for bacterial contamination and out-of-spec parameters.
Exactly. And this right here is where the entire system completely breaks down.
Because of the wait time.
Because of the wait time. They have to wait hours for those complex machines to actually process the physical sample and deliver the results.
And this creates a state of what we're calling delayed reality.
Delayed reality. I mean, think about the pure math of it.
Yeah.
During those 3, 4, or maybe 5 hours spent waiting for the lab results, the bioreactor does not stop.
It's still churning.
It continues to run. The highly expensive raw materials, the energy, the time, it is all actively burning.
So if a contaminant got in at 9 a.m., the machine is just mixing that contaminant into the whole batch for 5 solid hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The contamination is only discovered after the batch is already completely unsalvageable.
That is just, that is a fundamental structural design flaw. The executive dashboard eventually registers the financial hit at the end of the quarter.
Right, as a red number on a spreadsheet.
But the ground level reality is so much darker. The fatal contamination occurred, and the capital was physically destroyed long before anyone had the digital data to realize it.
Precisely. It's the ultimate blind spot.
This honestly feels like waking up, walking out to your driveway in your bathrobe, and waiting for the printed morning newspaper to tell you that your kitchen is currently on fire.
That is the exact dynamic.
By the time you read the headline, the entire house has burned to the ground. You cannot manage a dynamic, real-time physical crisis with a lagging historical document.
You can't. The physics of the problem demand immediate feedback. Yet the entire biopharma system is designed around historical confirmation.
It's just wild to me.
It highlights the evolution and the severe current limitations of what we call process analytical technologies, or PIT.
Right. Traditional PEAT relies heavily on these post-production tests and this intermittent manual sampling.
And when you actually calculate the financial math behind a discarded biopharma batch, it's staggering. It is a total unrecoverable wipeout of capital.
Driven entirely by a simple time delay. Millions of dollars literally vaporized just because the data was lagging.
Exactly.
Okay, so look, if you take this exact problem to any modern tech consultant or any Silicon Valley VC, their immediate knee-jerk reaction is going to be, Oh, just put it in the cloud.
Oh, of course, the cloud is the universal Band-Aid.
Right. We hear this constantly as the silver bullet for data delays. Upload it to AWS. But if we actually look at the physical reality of this manufacturing environment, the cloud is actually the enemy here.
It really is. The cloud is phenomenal for historical trend analysis. It's great for massive long-term data storage.
Sure, for training big LLMs or whatever.
Right. However, the cloud absolutely cannot solve real-time fluid dynamics. We have to examine the strict physics of edge computing versus cloud architecture.
So break that down for me, because when you attempt to send continuous high-fidelity sensor data from a factory floor to a centralized server, you immediately hit a fundamental wall of physics, right?
You hit a massive wall. Because we aren't just talking about a simple Excel spreadsheet of temperature readings here.
Right, to monitor these VATs properly, to really see the micro anomalies, we're talking about sending uncompressed 4K video streams from multiple factory lines straight to a server farm like Virginia.
And doing that creates massive bandwidth bottlenecks. It completely breaks the IT budget.
It just shatters the budget.
But more importantly than the budget, it introduces unacceptable latency.
Okay, let's pause on latency, because I think people misunderstand this. Latency is the physical time it takes for data to travel from the factory floor up to the cloud, undergo complex algorithmic processing, and then return as an actionable command.
Right, and inside a bioreactor, a critical fluid dynamic shift, like a sudden drop in dissolved oxygen, or a microspike in shear stress that can happen in milliseconds.
So you simply cannot monitor a real-time chemical reaction using a lagging round-trip signal.
You can't. And I hear this pushback all the time. People say, wait, my phone streams 4K video instantly on 5G. Why can't a billion-dollar pharmaceutical plant just beam its video to the cloud?
Exactly. I can sit on a subway train and stream a 4K movie from a server halfway across the world. Why is the factory struggling?
It comes down to the vast difference between passively consuming static data and actively analyzing dynamic microanomalies in real time.
Oh, that makes sense.
When you stream a movie, your phone is passively receiving a highly compressed, prepackaged file. It's essentially just catching a ball that was thrown to it.
Right, the data's already formed.
Exactly. The factory, on the other hand, must actively process heavy, uncompressed, multispectral video streams at 60 frames per second.
To detect microscopic, totally unpredictable deviations in the fluid.
Yes. The computational analysis must happen instantly, on the spot. Furthermore, these biopharma companies possess highly sensitive, deeply proprietary manufacturing data.
Right, the exact recipe for the drug.
They demand absolute security and rigid isolation. They want to keep their core biomanufacturing data out of the public cloud entirely.
Okay, that totally clarifies it. It's not just about moving data through pipes. It's about the speed of conscious thought versus an instant physical reflex.
I like that analogy.
Think about it like a hot stove.
Huh.
If you accidentally touch a hot stove, your hand pulls away instantly, right? Because the nerve signal only travels to your spinal cord and bounces right back.
Right, it doesn't go all the way to the brain.
Exactly. That reflex is edgeai. But if you had to wait for the pain signal to travel all the way up your arm, into your brain, consciously process the danger, and then send a signal all the way back down to move the muscle.
Which is exactly how cloud computing works.
Right. If you did that, your hand would already be severely burned. By the time the cloud tells the factory there's a problem, the $5 million badge is completely ruined.
That spinal cord analogy perfectly captures the mechanism here. The intelligence absolutely must reside at the exact point of failure.
You cannot wait for the data round trip.
You cannot wait. And this introduces the absolute necessity of localized intelligence. We must place the computational brain directly on the physical asset.
And doing that requires a major philosophical shift in how we actually design industrial technology.
It does. To solve the physics problem of cloud latency, we must apply a strict minimalist logic to the hardware itself. We have to move away from all this digital abstraction. We have to prioritize direct physical intervention.
And this is where we bring in the concept of restorative engineering. And we really lean into Dieter Rams's core principle: less but better.
Yes, RAMS is the perfect model for this.
We are completely removing the dependency on a sprawling, highly complex network. We're stripping away the gamified dashboards, the glowing lights, and we are focusing purely on essential geometry and localized function.
Exactly. Because Dieter Rams championed honest, unobtrusive design. When you apply that level of discipline to industrial engineering, the system becomes infinitely more reliable.
You aren't adding layers of complexity to solve a problem. You are stripping layers away until only the absolute essential function remains.
So let's paint a picture for the listener of what this actually looks like on the factory floor,
Wow,
because the visual contrast is striking.
it really is. Picture this. You walk into this ultra-sterile facility, and you have these massive, pristine, brushed, stainless steel biopharma pipes that might have been installed 20 years ago.
Beautiful, heavy industry.
And bolted directly onto that cold legacy steel is this dense, matte black computing module.
Just a stark, simple box.
Right. There are no glowing LED rings. There are no holographic overlays. There are no noisy blue touchscreens trying to constantly grab your attention.
It is just raw physical mounting hardware and heavy-duty sensor cables.
And that aesthetic choice, it's deeply functional, right?
Deeply functional. It represents pure operational efficiency. Every unnecessary element has been ruthlessly stripped away. We eliminate the tech fluff.
It's giving very quiet architect vibes. The hardware does not demand your attention. It simply executes its singular function flawlessly.
It's the stark difference between a flashy Silicon Valley sci-fi control room and a singular, highly effective physical tool.
It doesn't need to entertain you. It just works.
We can actually view this through the lens of Feynman compression, applied to engineering design.
Oh, I love Feynman. Break that down for this context.
The concept demands absolute clarity of thought. State the exact technical problem, provide the precise blueprint, execute the physical reality.
Strict pairs. I like it.
In this specific scenario, the problem is clear. We wait hours for lab results while the raw materials go bad.
Right.
The blueprint is minimalist. Mount a high-fidelity camera with a localized neural network directly onto the pipe.
Beautiful.
And the execution is immediate. Identify the contamination and halt the machinery instantly. Less central processing. Better local control.
Less central processing. Better local control. So we have this unobtrusive matte black box bolted firmly to the legacy pipe. But what is it actually doing? How is it actually seeing into that fluid to save the capital?
Let's dig into the micromechanics of sterile monitoring, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, let's get into the weeds here.
This localized edgeai enables the continuous real-time tracking of critical process parameters, or CPPs.
So it's constantly watching the vital signs of the fluid.
Yes. It monitors the exact temperature and internal pressure. It tracks the pH levels and the dissolved oxygen within these dense cell cultures.
And the core mechanism here is inline sensor fusion.
Exactly. The edge node simultaneously processes thermal data and optical data, directly on the fill and finish lines and on the water for injection loops.
Okay, but explain how that sensor fusion actually works in practice. How does a camera see through a fluid that is essentially a cloudy, dense soup of biological material?
Well, it relies on analyzing wavelengths far beyond human capability. Visible light scatters when it hits a dense cell culture. That's what makes it look cloudy to our eyes.
Right, it just looks like murky water.
But near-infrared spectroscopy penetrates that fluid perfectly. The edge node beams specific near-infrared wavelengths directly into the liquid.
And then it measures how the light bounces back.
Actually, it measures how the specific molecules vibrate and absorb that light. Every chemical has a unique signature.
Oh, wow. So it's reading the chemical makeup in real time.
Exactly. And by aligning that chemical signature with the thermal imaging timestamp, the AI can instantly differentiate between, say, a harmless temporary air bubble and a devastating bacterial contaminant.
That is insane. So these local AI models are processing heavy, multispectral video streams right at the source at 60 frames per second.
They're catching microscopic threats and subtle fogging that the human eye would completely miss even if they were staring right at it.
But here is the most critical part of this entire system. When the local node detects an out-of-spec deviation, it doesn't just ping an alert to some executive dashboard in New York.
No, an alert is useless at that speed.
Right. It triggers an immediate physical halt. It physically stops the pump.
That physical intervention is the defining feature of the entire architecture. This transforms a theoretical software-based alert into a strict physical hardware action.
It's not an IT upgrade, it's an automated emergency brake.
Exactly. By catching the microanomaly in milliseconds and instantly shutting off the solenoid valves, you isolate the failure immediately.
You physically prevent the compromised fluid from moving any further down the line and ruining the downstream equipment.
It fundamentally rewrites the financial equation for these companies. It translates what used to be a minor technical yield improvement into massive reclaimed capital.
Right, you're literally saving $5 million by stopping the pump in half a second.
And when executives finally grasp this physical mechanism, they stop viewing edge AI as some speculative experimental technology project.
They realize it's just pure ROI.
They start treating this localized compute hardware as a good manufacturing practice insurance policy. It guarantees instantaneous risk mitigation and absolute asset protection.
But, this brings up a massive question regarding the humans in the room.
The workforce dynamic, yes.
Right. If this matte black box can use near-infrared spectroscopy to flawlessly monitor the fluid and instantly stop the pump when things go wrong, do we even need the human scientists anymore?
It's the most common question I get.
I mean, if we're automating the reflexes and the emergency brakes, are we making these highly trained, brilliant operators obsolete?
The short answer is no. The concept of full AI autonomy, this Silicon Valley dream of a completely self-driving lab, is a total myth in the near term.
A myth, okay.
The actual trajectory of modern biomanufacturing is the hybrid lab. We are building highly sophisticated, hybrid, human-machine decision-making systems.
So the goal is not to replace the scientists. The goal is to elevate them.
Exactly. But to elevate them, we first have to physically and psychologically rescue them from the current state of the clean room.
Which is pretty bleak right now, honestly. These operators suffer from severe, debilitating alarm fatigue.
The psychological toll is enormous.
If you walk into one of these labs right now, you are surrounded by noisy, ICU-style monitors that just beep incessantly.
Beeping for every minor fluctuation.
Right. And the staff routinely ignore these alerts because the vast majority of them are completely meaningless.
That phenomenon is formally known as the false positive trap. If an alarm sounds every single time a minor, non-critical temperature fluctuation occurs, the human brain quickly adapts by tuning it out entirely.
It just becomes background noise. You literally stop hearing it.
Which is incredibly dangerous in a high-stakes environment. So we have to tune our edge models to deeply respect operator context.
Respect operator context. I love that phrasing.
The frontline scientists are exhausted by the constant noise. Local sensing empowers them by aggressively filtering out all of that irrelevant data.
It remains completely silent until a truly critical micro-anomaly occurs.
Yes. It changes the entire emotional and operational dynamic of the room. The operator transitions from frantic, continuous firefighting to calm, decisive oversight.
They become a true architect of the process rather than just a reactive mechanic. But let me challenge this dynamic for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If the machine handles every crisis, doesn't the human lose their edge? Like, isn't there a serious risk that these brilliant scientists with PhDs just become highly paid babysitters for an algorithm?
That's a valid concern, but that is where the principles of decision intelligence and collaborative AI come into play. We are fundamentally dividing the labor based on the inherent strengths of biology and silicon.
Biology and silicon. Okay, expand on that.
The edge AI handles the microphysics. Silicon is great at that. It monitors the fluid dynamics at 60 frames per second. It reacts in milliseconds to stop a pump.
Humans can't do that anyway.
Exactly. And by offloading that microvigilance, this aggressively frees the human scientist to handle macro strategy.
Which biology is great at.
Yes. The human focuses on long-term predictive maintenance, complex chemical decision-making, and process optimization. The human interprets the broad trends and the underlying science, while the machine handles the immediate localized physical reflexes.
The machine provides the reflex, and the human provides the strategy. It's the spinal cord and the conscious brain working perfectly together.
Precisely.
But listen, if this minimalist, edge-convergent architecture is so flawlessly effective, if it saves millions of dollars and it cures alarm fatigue and it elevates the workforce, why hasn't every biopharma factory globally adopted this overnight?
Friction.
What are the physical and structural roadblocks preventing this minimalist future? Because it sounds like a no-brainer.
The roadblocks are deeply rooted in physical friction and extreme regulatory scrutiny. First, we face massive challenges with legacy integration.
Right, we talked about bolting it to the old pipes.
Translating a purely analog mechanical system to a digital framework requires retrofitting decades-old infrastructure. You are physically attaching modern neural architectures to stainless steel tanks that were probably built in the late 1990s.
It requires precise mechanical engineering and highly customized physical adaptation. It's not like plugging a USB drive into a MacBook.
No, you can't just slap a 4K camera onto a 1998 analog pressure gauge with some duct tape and expect it to interface perfectly. The friction of the physical world is immense.
Okay, so legacy integration is roadblock number one. What's number two?
The second major roadblock involves data quality and pipeline management. An AI model is only as effective as the data it ingests. In biopharma, historical inaccuracies in the training data are devastating.
Because if the AI learns what good looks like from flawed data, it's going to make the wrong physical interventions.
Exactly. You need pristine, flawlessly categorized data pipelines to ensure the edge node makes the correct physical action when the time comes.
And the third roadblock, which is arguably the biggest,
Yeah.
the government.
Yes, regulatory compliance.
You are operating in one of the most heavily scrutinized environments on Earth. You have to adhere to rigid FDA guidelines and absolute good manufacturing practices.
The regulatory burden simply cannot be overstated. Any AI model that makes automated physical changes to sterile equipment must be fully validated and entirely auditable.
Right. The FDA requires a transparent, completely unalterable paper trail for every single automated decision.
This is where unified orchestration platforms become non-negotiable. Systems like TrustTops, they provide continuous AI governance.
So they basically act as the digital paper trail.
They ensure every micro-decision made by the edge node is recorded, mathematically justified, and fully compliant with strict regulations like 21 CFR Part 11.
But how do you even convince a highly conservative, heavily regulated industry to let a neural network make physical changes to their sterile equipment?
You have to change the entire vocabulary of the conversation.
That sounds like a regulatory nightmare that most compliance officers would just run away from screaming.
And they do. If you pitch it wrong, you never sell it as artificial intelligence.
What do you call it?
You sell it as autonomous threat defense and reliability automation. You frame the entire integration purely around risk mitigation and measurable business outcomes.
Oh, that is smart. You bypass the buzzwords and speak their language?
Exactly. And crucially, you introduce the concept of digital twins.
Digital twins, yes.
We use the historical edge AI data to create real-time, highly accurate virtual simulations of the manufacturing floor.
A digital replica of the physical factory.
Exactly. And we optimize the algorithms and validate the automated changes in the virtual twin long before they are ever physically implemented in the sterile environment.
So you prove the safety in the simulation before you ever touch the real medicine.
Yes. You build the trust digitally before you deploy it physically.
That is just brilliant. Okay, let's step back and look at the entire journey of this deep dive today.
It's been a ride.
We started by exposing this trillion-dollar corporate blind spot. We saw executives totally distracted by sanitized dashboards, completely unaware of the structural leaks draining their capital.
We identified the exact analog bottleneck causing it. The devastating delayed reality of manual, scheduled sampling.
And then we applied a strict minimalist design philosophy to solve the physics of that delay. We completely bypassed the latency and the massive bandwidth limits of the cloud.
We embraced restorative engineering. We visualized the functional elegance of a matte black edge compute module bolted directly to legacy metal.
That quiet, unobtrusive box uses sensor fusion and near-infrared light to catch microscopic anomalies in real time. It serves as an automated physical reflex, stopping the pump instantly.
It saves millions of dollars in a matter of seconds.
And on top of the financial ROI, it filters out the noise, it cures the operator's alarm fatigue, and it allows the frontline scientists to actually focus on high-level strategy rather than manual firefighting.
It is the ultimate execution of minimalist logic in a highly complex industrial environment. Less central processing, better local control.
Better local control. I love that. And that mechanism is so powerful. I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
We are rapidly moving toward a world where a simple, unobtrusive matte black box can perfectly monitor and physically intervene in complex, fluid biological processes inside a massive factory.
We are already there.
So how long until this exact same minimalist edgeai architecture is applied to the human body?
Oh, wow.
Right. Imagine a localized, unobtrusive sensor mounted directly on your own bloodstream. It catches micro-anomalies and chemical shifts in your health before you ever feel a single symptom.
Catching the anomaly at 60 frames per second.
Exactly. It triggers a micro-intervention instantly, releasing a neutralizing agent or adjusting your biology on the spot.
Yeah.
It completely bypasses the lagging centralized cloud of the traditional medical system where you have to wait weeks for a basic blood test result.
It's the exact same physical principle.
The exact same principle.
Yeah.
Less central processing, better local control. Think about it.